I'm not sure about you guys, but when I think about successive phones, they're usually supposed to be better, faster, stronger. And then there's the Alcatel Idol 5S. So this phone, the Idol 5S, comes a year after its predecessor, last year's Idol 4S, which featured a gorgeous looking Quad HD screen. It was also VR capable, and it did come with a VR headset. But this year's model with the Idol 5S, you're going to see some reductions in terms of the specs. But before we get into that, let's talk about the design of the Idol 5S. And I gotta say, it's a stunning looking phone. It's gorgeous. It looks like a flagship handset because it's glass and metal construction, just like last year's model. And this time, it's slightly smaller, so it's easier to hold with one hand. The glass, though, is a fingerprint magnet, and it is kind of slippery. But then again, you're not paying for the flagship cost. Going back to the specs, the first area you're going to find something strange going on with the phone is with the display. It's a 5.2-inch 1080p IPS LCD display. Now that's both smaller in size and lower in resolution versus last year's model. So you might be wondering about detail performance. It's still good enough here. For most people looking at it from a normal distance, you're not going to notice a whole lot of difference. One area you're going to notice difference though is probably in the VR aspect, because with that lower resolution screen, it does show a little bit more pixelation because those pixels aren't as densely packed. The phone features a Qualcomm Snapdragon 625 chip with 3GB of RAM. Now that's not a huge overall versus last year's model, but to say the least, it suffices for basic stuff. So if you're going to be doing your usual texting, sending emails, surfing the web, no problems with this chipset. Although the one area you're going to have some big issues is going to be with gaming, because the GPU is definitely going to be tested here. For the price of the phone, you're getting some extra goodies. One of them is, of course, the fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone. You also have a USB Type-C port. It has dual front-firing speakers, which I gotta say are amazing because they deliver some really crisp tones and pretty powerful too, so you're gonna be blown away by the quality. And yes, it does have a 3.5mm headset jack. Now, because of its smaller footprint versus its predecessor, the Idol 5S also has a lower capacity battery. 2620 milliamp hour battery cell inside of here. It's nice that it's svelte, but the battery performance here is average at best. You'll get by through most of a day, but if you're a power user, big into gaming, the battery's gonna need routine charging. I'm not too concerned if a phone has a lower resolution with its camera versus its predecessor. So the 12 megapixel camera here in the Idol 5S definitely suffices. It gets the job done, just as long as the conditions are ideal, of course. When the lighting conditions are nice, it's going to take some beautiful looking photos, good amount of sharpness, there's vibrant colors, and does an excellent job when it comes to macros. You get that soft out of focus effect with the background. Now, when it comes to the front-facing camera, it does a great job too. It's an 8 megapixel front-facing camera, good amount of details captured. The only areas I have a problem with the camera is with low light. Of course, it's natural, but you do see a heavier presence of digital noise, a lot of artifacting, and becomes more pervasive when you shoot video. There isn't a whole lot of bloatware or heavy customizations with the experience. It's running a mostly stock Android 7.1 Nougat experience. The only difference though is if you get the Amazon Prime exclusive version of the phone. Now that one's going to have ads and offers in the lock screen, so that might be a little bit distractive, but that's what you get if you want to get the discount. And finally, I have no issues whatsoever with the call quality performance because the earpiece itself is very good. Voice is sharp, clear, very powerful too. So even in noisy environments, you're not going to run into any trouble with it. Now, despite having all those reductions with the specs versus its predecessor, the starting cost of the Idol 5S is $280 through Amazon. That's unlocked, so it's available to work with AT&T or T-Mobile. And for that price point, it's not bad. And that's something that becomes more profound because for the money, the design is really attractive. It's high quality and you kind of feel like you're getting a handset that's higher in price. And finally, if you want more savings, instead of paying the $280, you could actually pick up the Amazon Prime exclusive edition of the phone for only $200. So that's an $80 savings. Yes, you're gonna get those ads in your face in the lock screen, but if you're willing to tolerate it, the discount's worth it. Now this one's not for everyone, but if you're looking to save some money, you want a brand new phone with a premium design without having to pay the premium cost, the Idol 5S isn't that bad of an option. There you go, guys. That is our review of the Alcatel Idol 5S. If you guys want to learn more about it, you can check out our website, AndroidAuthority.com. This is John V, signing off.